Hello there. So I recently had my Jitsu, Japanese Jiu-Jitsu that is, third dan grading, so it's like third degree black belt if you will. So getting black belts is just kind of like the start point, and then you've got your other dan grades that extend from them. And obviously third dan is quite high up. Fifth dan is the final one that's actually graded. 6 to 10 are sort of more given to you as a sort of honorary thing, so it's a bit different after that, but so it's quite high up the scale. There's only fourth and fifth dan gradings to do after that, but I'm still a long way from that because you have to wait a long time period in between each one. The minimum time period between second and third dan was 3 years, but because of the whole coronavirus thing, it was delayed for me, so it was 4 years between my second and third dan gradings. And more like 4 years and 3 months pretty much. So I figured after doing it, you know, it's not something that many people do. I mean, very few people even do like a first dan black belt grading, you know. I mean, they say, you could say, you know, out of everybody who ever considers joining a martial art, only like 10% of them actually take the steps to do it, actually join. And then only 10% of those people who join ever reach like brown belt. Only 10% of the people who reach brown belt ever manage to commit through to black belt, because the difference between brown and black is quite a lot actually. It's got a big step up. Out of all the people who get to black, you know, 10% do second dan, you know, etc, etc. So yeah, that on its own is quite rare, but doing, you know, a third dan, it's really rare. So I thought I'd make this video sort of explaining my experience with it and my thoughts behind the whole thing, just because, yeah, it's a rare experience and I've been through it, so I might as well share that. First and second dan are much bigger, there's more stuff to do in them, more physically intensive compared to third dan. Third dan's got less stuff on it, as you'll see when I go through it and show you the clips of me of my grading. There's not as much stuff there, but the standard, the technical standard, is obviously much higher as a side effect of that. So like first and second, you kind of pushed a bit more physically. Second dan, it's more technical, but third dan's like more technical still, because there's less stuff and everything as well. And also, my mindset going into this one was different, because from white to brown, when you do gradings, at least at the club I go to, we have like a grading system of pass, merit, honours. So well, at the time when I was doing it, it was like pass is like 40-odd%, credit is like 60, well it was 65, now it's 60, honours was 85, now it's 80, but it was 85 when I was doing it. And obviously that gave me something to aim for. You'd always tried to aim for getting the honours grading, just because it's, you know, if you care about it and you want to do well, it gives you something to aim for. But with the dan grades, black belt for me, first and second dan, it was quite interesting because it was just a pass or fail type thing, and that kind of affected my mindset on it. And so I kind of already, like a lot of people kind of probably think, they're kind of worried that they're going to pass, but I was always confident that I would pass, and that didn't bother me. So in a sense, I kind of felt disappointed afterwards because I didn't feel like I'd done as good as I could. I think part of that was because of the fact that I kind of already knew I was going to get it before I even went in, and it didn't cause me to want to push myself as hard, because like when you've got the honours thing, something to aim for that's like really high standard, and it kind of messed with my head a bit. And so I figured, you know, had a long time period in between, you know, between first and second dan there's only 2 years, which is still quite a long time between gradings, but between this one I had 4 years, and so I could sort of reflect on that experience, and I thought of changed my mindset coming into this third dan, and rather than just thinking about it as trying to, you know, and in the sense of a pass or fail thing, I thought I will just look at it as me trying to set an example, because now I'm like the sort of highest graded, highest ranked non-sensei, if you will, like I don't, you know, because of my sense of like fifth dan. But I'm like sort of now I'm sort of like the highest ranked student in the club, and I feel I have to set a good example for everyone else, if that makes sense. So I sort of used that to try and give myself something high to aim for, like the highest dan. And I thought in my head I want to get like sort of aim for just like 90% criteria, even though it wasn't really judged in that way. I still, in my head, I just thought that's what I want to sort of go for, that kind of standard. And so that was a different mindset change that I had, and as a result I was much happier this time with how well I did, how well it turned out. I mean, obviously there's not as much to do, but still the standard was very high, and I felt good that I managed to really peak that, which might sound a bit arrogant, but I did put a lot of work into this grading. Lots of preparation I did beforehand, mostly, well, that's one aspect of the mental preparation, apart from just visualizing it, constantly going through it in my head. Say like in the week before, like when I was in bed or something before going to sleep, I'd just in my head just visually simulate the whole thing, going through the whole grading, and that's a good bit of preparation. But apart from the fitness side of things, I prepped by focusing mostly on like HIIT training, high intensity interval training, and breath control. That was something that I really figured out would be useful in like the last month before the grading. I sort of figured that would be something that would actually be really good, because I was doing the first thing in this grading I had to do was like these 20 throws, and they're quite tricky throws. Well, they're not tricky, but they're like it's like one technique into the other and then into the other, sort of thing like that. And because I was going for it full out in each one, despite having like doing the good cardio, having good cardio, or like doing the intensity interval training to get used to that intensity, I was still finding it hard to, I still felt more tired than I felt I should have been, even though I was kind of going all out for like 4 minutes. I realised that it doesn't matter how good your cardio is if you lose control of your breathing. So I sort of thought, how can I get on top of that? So whenever I was doing my fitness training, I was also trying to focus on keeping the breathing under control. When I did each throw, as you'll see, I paused and kept the lock on, deep breath in all the way, fill the all of the lungs up, not just the top half of your lungs, just exhale it all out, so all that carbon dioxide gets out. So I've got that under control all the time. So that was something that I really focused on in the preparation for it, you could say. Okay, so let's break this grading down. I'm going to show you the clips of me actually doing it. So the first section was like the physically intense part, the throws. Now in like first dan black belt, you've got like a series of 25 throws you got to do. You just got to do one after the other, and then you jump right into the sparring side of things. I mean, like I said, the earlier ones are a bit more physically intensive. So this is 20 throws, but it's really 12 of one type of throw and then 8 of another. So the first 12 are these advanced combination throws where you basically go into one throw and say it doesn't work, you go into it and then you switch and go into another technique basically. And then the 8 triple advanced combinations are where you go into one technique, then into another, and then into another, like that. So it's about it's not about the throws themselves, it's about how to transition between techniques. So you try and do something doesn't work, how can you then from your position transfer into something else? It's kind of like that, that's what the idea is. So I was kind of told to go full out. So yeah, I did all that physical training for it, and yeah, so I'm just going to show you the clip now of me doing my 20 advanced combination throws.
Okay, so we're going to start with your third dan, Rory. We're looking at your 12 advanced combination techniques. So if you want to use the roughly the place where we go, sort of looks like this, you can. Okay. Yeah, I don't think you do either. You can, okay. Okay, your 8 advanced triple combinations. Last one.
So that was the combination throws. Yeah, I was happy with how they went. The next thing was this praying mantis kata. So there was 4 katas I had to do. 2 open hand ones, 2 with weapons, and then I had some weapon application as well, but we'll go through them in a bit. So this is the first kata, like an open hand one, got praying mantis kata. The katas, as you get further along, kind of get a bit longer and more complex. This one was wasn't too bad to learn, I don't think. But yeah, it's a nice one to do, not bad. So here's that one. Okay, so that was the praying mantis kata. So now we've got the Kama Kata. So this is a weapon, one of the first of the 2 weapons. And it's, you know, if you can't see from the video very well, it's basically like a stick with a mini scythe blade on the end. It's an old farming tool. So you'd sort of grab the crop, pull the blade through like that, because the sharp end's on the bottom. If you can sort of visualize well. So yeah, the kata is the first thing I do, and then I moved up application afterwards, but here's the Kama Kata.
Here we go, please.
So that was the kata part. Now this is the weapon application part. So we had to basically do 6 techniques, and I think I got some more sort of thrown in to just sort of test me a bit in terms of target areas and stuff. But it's mostly, they're quite simple techniques, there's nothing too flashy about them. It's just about showing you understand how the weapon works, how you deal damage with it, how it can be utilised. You'll notice a lot of the time when I'm cutting, I'm not just trying to pull through, I'm doing this sort of swish movement, because you're putting the blade, say there, and you're slicing it across to get it to actually cut properly. Because blades, any sort of blade doesn't cut as well flat like this as it does when it's drawn through anything like that. So yeah, that's these weapon applications. So I'll show you the Kama application techniques.
Cam's done this, so you want to talk us through what are you going to do?
So just going to be, sorry, I keep overhead style.
Again. Okay, this one.
Okay, pitching degree.
Again.
Open hand. Straight punch.
Again. What is that second strike doing?
The neck.
Okay.
Carotid area. And then a double.
Here we go. Next.
Then overhead strike.
Okay.
And I'll have a right face punch.
Yes, Lucy. You show me one that attacks the brake wheel.
Right face punch.
One that attacks the femoral.
So that was the Kama application. Now we've got the Naginata Kata. Naginata Kata. So this is basically like a big long staff with a sort of knife blade on the end, sort of katana style knife blade on the end, if you will. So it's kind of like a samurai spear in a way. It's just the kata with this, no application for it. I quite like it. I think I prefer this kata to the Kama one. I can't really explain why, I don't know why. Maybe it's just a funner weapon to use, I'm not quite sure. Yeah, this is the Naginata Kata.
You once more facing power.
So that was done. That was the two weapon applications out of the way. Throughout this whole grading, I was trying to keep myself in a extremely focused state of mind. From the moment I walked into the dojo, to do my part, my grading, I was like, nothing else matters, everything disappears, just what I've been practicing these past 4 years, I guess technically, but really focusing on hard. So I was in that focused state of mind the whole time. And now we're going to do the last kata, second open hand kata, which is called Sandan Kata. It was like the most complex kata I've had to do so far out of any of them that I've ever done, and took ages to learn. It took ages to learn because the source material I had, I couldn't normally with these complex katas I like to sort of slow them down, slow the video speed down so I can break down the parts. I couldn't really do that with this one. And it's got lots of complex bits, so it took me a long time to learn this one. But it is my favourite kata that I've had to do just because it was difficult, I suppose. I liked the challenge part of it and how kind of good it looks. It looks like a good kata when you actually do it. So yeah, I wanted this one to be the best one that I did out of all four. So I was happy with how it turned out looking back at it. So here is Sandan Kata. So that was Sandan Kata. Sandan actually means third dan in Japanese, actually, because you have Shodan, first dan, Nidan, second dan, Sandan, and then I think it's Godan for fourth dan. I can't remember what fifth is, but yeah, so that's basically like the third dan kata, if you will. So the last part of the physical grading is Hojojutsu, which is basically like a sort of, there's quite a few different branches of Jiu-Jitsu. You've got like the main body and then different branches of it, sort of more specialised thing, like you can specialise in weapon stuff, you can specialise in like the sort of pressure pointy stuff, you can specialise in, well, there's Hojojutsu, which is you explore in third dan. I don't think any of those other branches are part of the syllabus, but Hojo does appear in third dan. Of course, up to this point I've never heard of it until I did pass my second dan and started looking at the third dan syllabus. Basically what it is tying up techniques. Sounds a bit sort of kinky, and if you look at the history, that is actually where that sort of thing comes from. But basically, if you think about it, back in like Japan and stuff, like feudal Japan, they didn't really have handcuffs or anything fancy like that, so when they took prisoners and everything, they would tie them up. And this kind of evolved into a bit of an art form, loads of different ways you can tie people up from different situations or positions. So I just had to demonstrate 5 tying up techniques. So you can't really see very well from the camera angle, unfortunately. Most of the time my back's to the camera and you can't really see the actual like knots that's going on too well, so apologies for that. But yeah, this is my 5 Hojojutsu sort of tying up techniques. So that was all of the physical grading aspects done and dusted, really. Yeah, I felt much better after this one than my second and first Dan gradings, because of the fact that my mindset was just different. You know, I really pushed myself deliberately to go for a high standard, whereas before I was kind of a bit confused in some ways, because I already, it sounds arrogant, but I already knew I was going to pass going into it, and there was no higher standard to aim for straight, so I had to kind of create my own this time, and so it worked very well. I was much happier with this whole thing. There's another aspect of third Dan, which is like an essay. You have to write like a whole essay. Mine was about 4,000 words, and I drew some pictures for it myself. But it was an essay about the history of Jiu-Jitsu, the fundamentals of it, and what training is like, how it changes the psychology of training after you do black belt. So it was quite an interesting thing to do. It took me a while because I'm a slow writer, but that was good. It was quite a good sort of reflective experience doing that essay. So obviously I sort of did that separately and handed that in. That's like the final part. But overall, it was a very interesting experience. Obviously, very few people ever sort of go that far in anything, I suppose. I've been doing Jiu-Jitsu for almost, it's nearly 10 years. It'll be 10 years in mid-October of this year. So I thought it would be interesting to talk about it and show what it was actually like. So that's basically it. That's my experience with third Dan. Hope you enjoyed. This video is probably quite long, but I hope it was interesting, at least to some degree. Apart from that, I will see you next time.